Welcome back to another Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series and the Umbani Chronicles, and I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She is the author of Adlithia, Elendil, and Almond Tree's Magic, so go check her stuff out if you like sci-fi and fantasy as well. And we are also joined once again by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
He's a graphic illustrator, creator of The Eve of Insurrection, and what's the second one?
The Eve of Reclamation.
Eve of Reclamation, and he's also the illustrator for the Ancient Illumination graphic novels as well as the Umbani Chronicles comic coming out this October. And today we are finally on the finale of Halo. No, we're late to the party, but we had lots of stuff going on. So spoiler alert, if you have not watched Halo on Paramount Plus streaming currently, this last of the season. Transcendence, I believe, is the title of this episode. I don't know how I feel. I mean, I'm cool with it, but it's kind of like almost relieved that it's over. I don't know if you all felt that way too or not.
Yes, most definitely.
I feel like this was like a mid-season finale. It didn't feel like there was enough that happened, that truly happened, to make this a season finale, because I think I finally get what they were trying to do with this season, or what they were trying to set up with this season, but it just didn't feel like enough really truly happened. And they threw in characters now that I don't even understand why they were there. So I feel like this was more of a mid-season finale than an actual season finale, even though it was a season finale.
Well, you knew we were going to get sequel baited. That
was so much of it.
Yeah, but like it felt like what happened wasn't big enough to make me want to come back for season 2. But it was like, oh, okay, they're taking like a winter break, and then in January they're gonna come back, and then like we're gonna get the answer to this. Versus, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like it just doesn't. Like if there's a season, there is supposed to be a season 2. If it doesn't get canceled and they do make it, it didn't draw me in to be like, I need to know what happened. That's what I'm like, this.
That's what you're saying.
Really like a mid-season finale stake, where it's like, okay, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's is about to happen. All right, they'll be back in February, and I'll see what happens. Versus, what do you mean I have to wait 3 months to find out? Yeah. No, I'm not okay with this. So.
Yeah,
this show wasn't written that well for me to be like, I need more Halo.
Yeah, it was lackluster, and I could see where we had tidbits of things that they specifically threw in, I think, for the gamers that would have followed it, but it was like too little too late almost in the end of the episode, because in the beginning, let's get into the actual story, get this over with. Master Chief wakes up in the aftermath of episode 8 when Maki touched the relic and everything went to hell, and I'm tripping because my boy how is he the first one to get up? He doesn't even have his full set of armor on.
Yeah.
Everybody else is still laid out.
He's the chosen one.
It must be the link, because he was awake in the link. That's what I was thinking, because the same thought process came up. But I was like, how is he the first one awake? Like, shouldn't he have a little bit more cuts and bruises and like knocked out and maybe have some blood or brain matter coming out? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And then they have their, they finish the standoff between him, Vanek, Riz, and Kai, and they take off from right where they left off at the last episode. They're ready to shoot everybody until Captain Keyes finally fesses up that everything that he's talking about is true. And it's kind of weird. Like, they wouldn't take it from Master Chief. They wouldn't take it from Kai. But all of a sudden, when Captain Keyes tells him and confirms that everything is true, and we kind of knew this was all going to come to a head at that point, and we get to see Miranda's reaction because she knows Daddy has been just as dirty as Mommy has been, because he's complicit in everything that's going on. So it was cool to see that, but like I said, it was almost at that point I'm like, get on with it. I want to see. Give me the Halo stuff now, because it's drama stuff that you're showing me.
You wanted the middle of everything that happened after that. You want to get right to that.
I will say, Captain Keyes was stupid for saying what he said.
Yeah.
He definitely could have phrased it as, I knew what she did and I didn't stop her, but you did not have to sit there and give yourself up because
It's hard.
You literally could have gotten away with hiding your
guilty.
secret away. But he's like,
he wanted to let it out. He wanted to release himself of his sins.
And he still, they could have turned and shot him. Like, it just.
Actually, yes. Actually,
that would have been the better. That would have been the better thing.
I would have been
because he even says if anybody needs to be shot, it should be me. I'd have been rolling. I'd been like, all right, wow.
So that's why I was like, it just felt like he could have definitely worded it as, I knew what she was doing. I didn't stop her. I could have stopped her. And I'm sorry I didn't. Instead of saying, I helped her do it. Okay, first of all, these dudes, like, you don't know if she's still in their head. You don't know if she's still controlling them. She could turn them and say, shoot him because he just revealed that or whatever. Like, no, you should have definitely kept your name out of it. And then that could have been the season 2 reveal of showing how they still can't trust anyone there. But yeah, in my mind, it was really stupid for him to admit his involvement at that point. He definitely could have gotten away with still blaming everything on Halsey, who everyone else knew, who everyone was already assuming was the bad guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to throw your name into the hat, like your name into the ring. You could left yourself out.
And it looks like from this scene, you start to see Vanek and Riz start to show true emotions, despite them not really. At least they haven't shown us that they've cut their emotions inhibitor out of the small of their back, and they're starting to show, like, Riz is hesitating to lift and raise her gun when they have that standoff. And then as soon as they finish that conflict, I liked how Kai was like, I want Halsey. And she runs straight to the ship to find Halsey, and she books it up there and finally gets into Halsey's ship. Aiden's talking all types of crap. He gets bitch like immediately. I wish I had something to drink in that moment because that was hilarious.
That was. I love how she just picked him up, threw him up into the ceiling, and came back down. I was like, are you dead? I'm like, that looked like that was a one-hit KO.
I thought it was really stupid for her to take her helmet off at that moment because it definitely would have been. I definitely saw her dying or getting hit in the head and like being knocked out.
We all saw it.
You knew that.
Like,
but she's a Spartan. She was going to take that. She was going to take that. It was just.
Why did you take your helmet off, honey? You could have left it on and still been like more invincible than like. Because what if he had a gun or a phaser, whatever you use?
I don't get why she needed an explanation.
Yeah.
There was no explanation they could have given her that would have been satisfactory to be like, oh, all right.
What's my real name?
Yeah.
Did anybody think of Roots? What's my
Toby?
I literally thought about that the whole time. Like, what's my name? I'm like, come on, Kai, you sounding kind of crazy right now. Like, what's my name? It's my real name. Like, okay.
Yeah, that part was funny, and then of course, Halsey had to get her little escape on.
I hate her.
And Silver Team can do it, Master Chief says. And then when they get to suit up and find where this Covenant planet is, it was hilarious, the conversation that Kai has with Vanek and Riz, like, would y'all really have shot me? They're like, oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Vanek, no hesitation. Yes, I would have.
We'd have shot you.
Kai's like, I would have shot you, but I would have felt bad about it.
Yeah, because he turned it around like, were you going to shoot me? Mm-hmm. She was like, yes, but I would have felt really bad about it. Like, that doesn't make it any better. You still would have shot me, so we're even in my eyes.
That was funny.
And then, so then, she runs off. Halsey runs off.
Jeez.
And she, Halsey gets captured. I knew something was going to be up because she gave up a little too easy. We can get on to the rest of that later on, what the conclusion of that is. Because then they bring Maki back. We're going to come back to that if you.
Oh, no, this is I think the assistant and Halsey in that moment on the ship were stupid, and it sort of shows how singularly focused Halsey is, and how she doesn't care about anyone else around her. Because if I was her assistant and I saw that we were about to be boarded by Marines and I see a Spartan coming at me, and then
it jumps on the ship.
Like, his blind devotion is what got him killed, because he was thinking about her, and we see in that moment when Kai has him buy like the shirt, and Halsey just looks at him and runs, and it's like, she doesn't care about you.
Oh.
She never cared about you. I'm just sad that he didn't realize it before and was able to kill her. Because I really saw him killing her and like wearing her skin. Because
Oh my gosh.
he was that type of creepy nice guy.
Yeah. The same thing happens with Maki though. She goes back to the Covenant. She done brought both the relics to them, and homeboy, they're all just talking greasy about her to her face, no less. As she's presented all the things, she's like, "You're not satisfied when you go on the great journey," and she's like, "Can I go with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, if that's what you want." And then as soon as she turns her back, they're talking greasy again.
Like,
And she speaks the language. That's the funniest part about it. Like she,
you don't hear what they're saying about you. Like they gonna kill you.
It's like, yeah, as soon as we get there, the blessed one will burn. I'm like, damn, that's some dirty macking right there. They're not even playing with it.
Like, and they do not care. You were just their pet.
And I like that parallel between her and Maki and John. Like they come from the same, and that's what was done successfully. That's what we can say. Like these two characters really do kind of share similar paths, and they're clearly being betrayed by both their organizations, parties that they're with. So that was done well.
And later in the episode, we see that they're both seen as interchangeable to both sides. Like one or the other, as long as one of y'all can mess with this artifact, be cool. Discard the other. One of them's there. They're gone, not here. Don't worry about it. We got it covered. So yeah, we get that, and then we see Cortana is really finally bonding with Master Chief because she fesses up about the truth about Halsey's plans, and she like runs it down. She's a snitch for real because she was telling on him before. Now she's flipped it. She's snitching on Halsey. Like, yeah, we were just gonna take you over. And that was going to be a wrap. He's like, what's going to happen when you take over? She's like, you would have to cease to exist. He's like, oh. He's like, well, damn. What's stopping you from doing this shit now? He's like, because I learned. So it's kind of cool. She's like, yeah, I think I'll wait for a less beat up version to take over because he was already clearly just got his ass whooped by his silver teammates.
That was a cute little joke between them because he smiled after that. But it also goes how Halsey has that mistake of making things that thinks she has complete control because she created a program that was supposed to learn. And she didn't think that this is every single movie that creates AI.
Every scientist does this. I don't understand why. It's so stupid.
Creating programs that can learn because we are all flawed. If you're like, oh, we want to solve all of Earth's problems. Oh, well, you're the problem. Oh no! Like you create a program that can learn from you, but you don't like things having free will. So Halsey, why would you create something that could ever decide to not listen to you? It just didn't make sense that it's her craziness of thinking that her word is final, that no one's ever going to betray her, even though she betrays everyone.
Well, she's always got a backup plan in her mind. I think, at least up until this point, it's been true. She's always had some ace up her sleeve that kind of gets her out of a bind, even though it looks like it's over. So we'll see if that pans out. The next thing, we go to this weird wormhole travel into Covenant space.
That was dope.
It was dope, but it was kind of a plot hole to me, but it can be forgiven mainly because, like, you see, they barely made it in, and you knew that I think this scene, they tried to raise the stakes and give you tension, but we had to know it really wasn't going to happen because the story's over if they don't make it through, obviously. And then I was like, well, it didn't make sense then. It made more sense, that they would be the only ones to travel with the help and stuff that they had. And it couldn't be, like she was saying, we can send however many regiments over there. And Master Chief was like, you send 10,000 regiments over there, you're going to lose 10,000 regiments. And that didn't make any sense balance-wise. So we'll just send 4 people. I'm like, okay. So you 4 are just going to take everybody out. That doesn't make sense. But then it made more sense when you saw how they traveled through. Obviously, that much of a force wasn't going to successfully make it through.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, they were struggling just to survive getting through that wormhole. I was like, yeah, the Marines sure would have died. So I'm like, Luckily, these people were enhanced and strong enough to get
Mhm.
through it. So I forgave. It was nice visual effects. I was like, all right, let's get through this.
Did anybody else laugh at Vanek kept saying he didn't like this?
Yeah.
Over and over again. I mean, that was his own line. He would look up, I don't like this. I really don't like this.
When she was explaining that he would be spaghettified, and he's like,
Yes,
"What?"
he's like,
I'm
what?
like, pull.
Yeah, she like.
I'm
made
not
that
the
word
highest
up.
grade of weed, but that don't sound good to me. I don't know. Yeah, that was funny. And then we get to Miranda had to try and show her mama up. So she knows she's sitting there in the interrogation or some little room that they just got her sitting in, and she wants to go rub her nose in it and tell her, "Oh yeah, the tribunal met already. They got the verdict already. You want me to tell you? I wanted to come tell you myself." So I'm thinking, is the Article 72 the death penalty?
Maybe.
Because he said she was too dangerous to be
You
exiled.
have to kill her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're too dangerous to be
Had to.
exiled, and you're too dangerous to be incarcerated. So the only other option for me is we got to kill you.
Space lethal injection.
Yeah, or just inject it into space. Yeah, just eject
or
it.
that too.
Just
Eject it in
cut
the
her head
vacuum.
off and make sure she's really dead.
Oh my goodness, this is not a fantasy movie. We're not just
It's
locking
not
people.
fantasy. It's smart because
That's so outdated. Who just cuts people's
who
heads
could say
off
that
and
she
stuff?
didn't enhance herself some way somehow to make sure she could survive stuff. You need to see that the person is dead, and the best way to make sure that someone is dead is to disconnect their head from their body. You can do this in scientific ways. You can do this in
So you were going to use a guillotine. So you were going to
a
do
guillotine,
old-fashioned
a
guillotine.
laser. You can do whatever you need to do, but you need to make sure
That's
the head
corny.
is not connected to the body, because otherwise that's how you get zombies and they come back.
Or just put her in a room with Kai in a little overhead window.
Oh, that would have been crazy. Fight
He can give
Club.
her the old King Kong
And
neck
then
broke.
disconnect her head from the body.
That would have been wild.
Make sure she's dead.
Yeah.
Stomp her out. Stomp her out, Kai. Stomp her out.
Yeah. So that was an interesting scene of them. And of course, later on, you see her, Halsey, seizing up. And then somehow Miranda puts two and two together. Go ahead.
No, because the lead up to that part was so good, though, because we saw that she had headaches. I saw like a little twinge of her eyes, and I saw her nose bleeding earlier, and it didn't hit me.
Yeah.
Oh, you caught that. Wow.
Yeah, like
I didn't catch that.
her nose was bleeding earlier, and then in my mind I was like, oh, because the crash, that's why your nose is bleeding, because you hit yourself in the head, like whatever.
I should have known though, because she was looking too dusty and rough. You don't never see Halsey looking all dusty and rough the whole show. She's looking all bewildered and battered and bloody, but nobody had laid a hand on her though. So you know what I mean? Something like, what happened?
It was that powerful ship. Oh wait, oh no, she was in a. That didn't make. She was in escape pod. So yeah, why was
she was running from the crush? So I thought maybe.
They pulled an okey doke on me. Damn.
I thought maybe she may have crashed her ship or fell while she was running, and that's how she got the dirt and was looking a little rough. That's why I thought, I was like, oh, okay, that explains. And so Miranda started having those flashbacks to the explanation that her mother gave to John.
I didn't think we needed that, by the way. I'm just gonna say it. I didn't think we needed that. I would have. After we talked about Flash, I feel like it gets a little
redundant,
corny, redundant, where you're like re-explaining something to us that we already know within the series. Like they had to do the flashback, and I'm like, okay, like I said, it was a little. It could have been written a little better. Like it's not like could have been like it's her. It's a Flash clone. Like we know your mom made Flash clones, so we'd have been like rats. We didn't.
But she didn't say it though. At least she just said that's not my mother.
Yeah, she just said that's not my mother. Yeah. But which I actually that part I was fine with. Like that's not my mom. When she would have said like the audience, we're not that dumb. We're like if she said that's not my mom, that would have been a better aha moment versus re-explain what we already know within the world about Flash Clan, what her mom has done in the past.
Okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate for
you're gonna hit me with this one, okay?
Because I didn't. Is it said that all Flash clones would die that way, or they engineered the children Flash clones? Because I thought she engineered the Flash clones for the children to die that way. not that all Flash clones would die that way, which is why I like the flashback, because it let us know that she did to herself what she did to those kids.
Yeah. I don't think it was a purposeful thing. I think they were genuinely trying to just replace them, and just to end up that the clones died and end up being another benefit, that the parents would not be looking for their kids later because they all passed. They would just grieve for the kids.
I definitely thought
they probably were engineered. I assume they were engineered to die like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like they were engineered with that fail safe to just,
But no, I'm saying
that was my
do all Flash clones, like every
they
Flash
said it
clone
was. I remember they said it was illegal. Didn't they say it was
or was that
illegal?
Yeah, it was illegal. Yeah.
So, and they didn't really go into enough details on, like, to answer your question. Like,
so that's why I like the flashback, because in my mind, from the way they explained it, was they engineered the children Flash clones to die like that, versus all Flash clones die like that. So that's why I like the flashback.
I assumed that was a thing. Like, that was Halsey's move, was engineering Flash clones that could die like that. So when she did it to herself, like, damn, of course that's how she got it.
I wouldn't have caught that it was the same thing without the flashback. I just thought, she cloned herself. And it wouldn't have
you thought she
that's
she
hilarious.
Just killed herself.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll pick up at the Maki sacrifice question mark when we get back to the Covenant. We'll be back in a second. And welcome back to the second half of the Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake. I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
And Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
We're continuing our discussion on the finale of Halo, streaming now on Paramount Plus. And we just got through talking Halsey, who just got through being interrogated. And we kind of fast forwarded through, because the next scene actually is when we go back to the Covenant, where the Covenant's still talking greasy about Maki. And so they allude to, basically, I guess they're going to sacrifice her, because I had my notes say Maki sacrifice ? When they get to wherever they think this promised land is. And we know that Team Silver gets through the wormhole and immediately starts attacking. They try stealth at first, it seemed like, and we're getting little flashbacks that are more akin to the video game again, where you're getting a view from Kai's helmet. She starts sniping grunts.
I like that. That was dope,
other members out, and they're going like methodically, taking them out on their way. Of course, Jordan will be familiar with this. Somebody doesn't keep the stealth mode up and gets spotted. We've been playing games on PlayStation. Sometimes people jump out the bush.
What? I'm that guy. I am that person.
You're not that guy. Sometimes it's me, but I just
you.
I just got reminded of that thing happening in video games, and that's exactly what they do, because Maki touches the artifact and nearly blows all these beings off the little cliff or whatever. But they continue fighting. The only two people that get froze are her and Master Chief. It gets real video gamey at that point. You're getting this first person view of them fighting.
Very good really fight choreography. Very good. That was Halo.
Yeah, that was. But it was, like I said, I don't know if it was like too little, too late. Like, you wait now. They chose like 3 or 4 moments out of 9 episodes to do that.
Yeah,
I mean, it was cool, but it didn't really save.
It helped me enjoy it more, but it didn't save the. It didn't save the show. It did not save the show.
What were you about to say, Andrea?
I feel like this last episode sort of like gave me the idea that this was the origin to like the game you guys know.
Okay.
That's also what I said to myself.
That's like, it seemed like they were the silver team, but they weren't the silver team that you guys know yet until like after all of this happens. And so that's why the opening, I guess that's why a lot of people, maybe had issues with it, or it just seemed so random and things splashed together, because I still don't understand why we have Quan up in this thing.
Oh yeah, she was a blip.
So it seemed like this was like an origin story, and then season 2 is supposed to be closer to the Halo that you guys know and play. But it's because I didn't really get the Halo game feel until this episode, really. And I was like, okay, so that's probably what it is. That's probably what they were doing. They were trying to create why he is the way that he is. And this entire season, he's not that person yet.
Yeah.
But like, he'll be that person now.
Yeah. So yeah, we go past that and we briefly flash back to the point where we had already kind of discussed it. We see that the clone starts seizing up and having a seizure. Miranda realizes that's not her mother. That's one of them clones. And after that reveal, we get kind of like it reminded me of like horde mode in Halo. Basically, once like the alarm has been put out that there's intruders and there's like an innumerable amount of Covenant just coming in swarms to fight you, and you know that you're going to get, basically, if you don't have a good team, you're going to get overrun and die eventually. But sometimes you can make it through. I think one of the games, it might have been 3 or Reach, there's a Halo where the game ends that way. You basically just get overrun. It's meant to be that way at the end of the game. And then, of course, because Maki is touching the artifact, she kind of saves them briefly during the horde swarming in, because everybody gets frozen, people blown off the cliff. But it also reveals, partially at least, the star map. So the two Covenant, I don't know what they are, floating in their little hover chairs, still talking smack, looking up, like they're talking as if nothing else is really going on. They're looking, the map's being revealed. And they finally show us the Halo, and you get the scene with Master Chief and Maki stuck in a little dream world, talking everything out. He goes down. My boy is Kaepernicking. He goes down on one knee in the midst of the fight in front of the temple. Just
took Colin Kaepernick knee. I was like, come on, man. Like, somebody help Chief out. Block him. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that was hilarious, because they were like, Chief is incapacitated. He's just sitting here. He's not doing nothing. I can't wake him up. And then Kai's like, I know how to wake his ass.
That was my favorite part. Dream World looks at Maki, bloodstain. I'm like, that's hilarious. I'm like, good job, Kai. Did you like that Kai did that, Andrea?
I actually have respect for Kai after this episode. Like last episode, she was making me like her more. She has lost her crazy eyes, or
really now.
She has gone down in the crazy eyes department, because those first couple episodes, when after she took out that pellet, it was crazy eyes all day, every day. That was a girl who, if you broke up with her, she was the one who slashed your tires. Like that's who she was. And now it's like, okay, she's come to terms and realized she was being crazy, and now she's getting like herself back together. She had her therapy, and she's like back to being her like Halo Spartan person. So I had respect for Kai after. I was like, okay, still don't want you and Master Chief to be together. I want y'all to be like best friends, not like anything romantic to happen between you two, because we can all see that Master Chief is very easy when it comes to the other women. And I want more for Kai now.
He's easy, or I mean, Maki was easy. He just took a book.
He was easy too. It was just as easy, because he wasn't with anyone else.
He was pursuant though.
He was so desperate for it that the first girl, who's an evil girl, like you couldn't pick any other Marine person, but you picked the girl who everyone else on the base is like, don't touch that, because she was been with our enemy this entire time. But like, it's something different, and you can't control yourself. Yeah. You're supposed to be this big army guy, and you give it up for the first girl you meet outside the army.
Well, it's not just that. Not that she was the first girl outside the army. She understood his experience. Come on now, they were soulmates.
They were.
Don't
not.
do this. Yes, they were.
Yes,
they were. What are you talking
even
about?
If you're soulmates, you don't find out in the first.
No, they had a whole trauma bond. If we're going to be actually honest, it was a trauma bond.
But it's not the same trauma bond. It's a similar trauma bond.
It's a similar trauma bond.
Stories. But like, it would be different if they grew up together and had the same trauma bond. But she experienced trauma. He experienced trauma. They were very similar traumas, yes. Except the fact that it was like an enemies to lovers trope that should have taken at least 8 chapters and took 1.5. That. So like, what really shouldn't, like, if they had got together, I would have been more accepting of them not being easy if they didn't get together until like next season. But the fact that it took less than 1 episode for them to meet and to sleep together y'all both easy and desperate, and I just whatever. Okay.
Well, I mean, to be honest, they only had 9 episodes, and season 2 with these things are never guaranteed. As a matter of
That's
fact,
very
most streaming shows don't make it past season 2 because the streaming services don't. They want new subscribers. So a lot of the times, like you may get a new subscription because there's a new season of something that you want to watch, but it's after 1 and 2, like everybody's not hopping in for season 3, so like it's hard to get beyond 2.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
And if it doesn't go well viewership wise, then that season 2 isn't even guaranteed. Like, oh, this flop, we're not doing this again. How much was it per episode? They spent. That was the other thing I had. How did you guys feel about the setting when they went to the Covenant planet? It looked kind of.
It was a little bare.
Yeah,
it was very bare.
It was a little bare. They had me when they were like in the stratosphere of the planet. They landed. The special effects on that looked good, but it almost felt like when they landed, it felt like we were really like on like a stage or something. Like it felt like a set. It really felt like a set.
To me, it felt like going from like my PC to like the Xbox 360. It just went
from 4K to 720p.
Like, yeah.
Jesus.
Like something I could make in the Forge on Halo. Like I could piece that
I can
together.
make my own map.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But I mean, the fights were cool. We finally get him to fight in the Brute. The Brute just keeps whooping his ass every time.
Yes. I was like, he has a vendetta against the Chief.
And
he has a vendetta.
That was Cortana who made a joke. Oh, you remember him?
Yeah, you remember him. Yeah, I remember. Him smacked me back on another planet and took the artifact from me, and then looked at me as he got, beamed up to his ship. He was just kind of smirking at me.
And dropped the girl that I was desperate for. That whole thing.
The woman I love.
Maybe that was a favor. I traded.
No, you didn't love her. You can't fall in love that quickly.
Yes.
You cannot. You can trauma bond with someone that quickly, but you cannot fall in love. You cannot fall in real love with someone that quickly.
So this seems like this show would have benefited by them not shipping those two, and it would have been fine.
That soon.
It would have been fine.
Because they slept together so fast. I lost interest in whatever that was. Like they could learn something from the K-dramas that make you wait all season to see one kiss. Like it was like, okay, let me get let there be a little bit more of a build up before they sleep together. But again, if they always plan on killing her, then I get why they had like the shoehorn it in. But I felt like it was just so quick. It maybe even that way, like an episode of like a whole episode of her being interrogated and showing them growing versus, okay, we slept together.
I think it's the formatting.
Episodes of them like just being friends, and then maybe.
I still think that's a result of formatting with. Remember, like before, I think seasons were like minimum 12, 13 episodes, and now it seems these shows now are like 9, 8, 6 episodes. So you may not get, you can't get your foreplay in. You're going to have to get to it by episode 3 or 4 because season's ending 6 episodes after that, and it's going to be done with. Especially if the writers know they're doing certain things with the character. As we know, spoiler alert again, if you haven't watched, Maki dies in this finale. So if you don't get to it before now, unless they do some really gruesome, bring her back to life, and I don't think they want to go that route. But
no, we don't do zombies here.
That'd be I would enjoy that. I like zombies.
Yeah, so it ended pretty cool with them basically, like all of them were getting mollywop.
Vanek. Vanek. Oh no!
Yeah, he kept getting knocked
that
off.
Was funny.
I think they had him walk up to stuff just to get him blown off of it.
Exactly. I'm like, bro, you seem like you're the toughest one, and you don't want to get blown up right now. Like this is some bull. Riz.
Yeah, Riz.
She got hit with a. Did she get hit with a sticky grenade?
She got hit with a sticky grenade. Yeah, that was after she had got hit into the wall with the hammer, with the gravity hammer.
The Brute. Oh God.
Yeah,
did Chief tell her not to go, and she started fighting the Brute? And
he said no, and she was already.
Brute grabbed her by the leg and threw her in a column. I was like, "That's a wrap." I was like, "That's over right there." But when she got
that was a "you gonna learn today" moment right there. And then I think one of the grunts from the balcony above hit her with the sticky grenade.
That's when I knew it was over, and I'm like, "Okay, Kai." Andrea, Kai, no, Kai came to try to save her.
Yeah.
And somehow
I told you, Kai has our respect now.
somehow
She went to therapy. She's no longer having the crazy eyes. She's come to terms with her emotions.
did she? All right, so I only saw this in was it the Hurt Locker, or no, it wasn't that movie. It was a military movie where like there was a grenade that was dropped on the ground. Somebody jumped on it to suppress. Is that what Kai's intention was?
No, because it was stuck to Riz. So
Yeah, I know, but so what was the?
I don't know. I don't know what the strategy of that is. We're
What
both
was the
going to take
strategy
this
of her?
grenade.
Yeah, I don't. She should have. That part didn't make sense to me, but yeah, she wasn't getting that off. But I don't know why she kind of put her body on, unless she was trying to protect everyone else. It didn't make sense to kind of shield Riz, but yeah, that was seemed like a wrap right there.
Yeah. And then they have finally at the end, they have that one ship that I guess followed them through the wormhole somehow with the Pelican and scoops them up, or was that their ship?
That was their ship. No, that was their ship. That
yeah.
Are we going to gloss over the Cortana situation? Can we just
doesn't come. Who's flying that though?
That was Cortana was controlling that. That was autopilot. Cortana was controlling that Pelican, which I have a problem with.
I think it was autopilot for
it wasn't. So she
had to take over Master Chief though.
No, but if you look at her screen, everyone, let Jordan talk. If you look at the console, it had that same blue energy coming from it that happened earlier in the show. I feel like I've seen it before.
Okay.
And I was thinking, I was like, so Chief dies, Cortana takes over the body. So now Cortana is controlling his body, but also calling in the Pelican. Why didn't she do that before when they were getting messed up?
Okay, so answer to your question. So one, I think it was like tied to basically he can call the ship to come when he needs it to come or whatever. Set up it's future. They can do that crap. But the whole Cortana not calling it is because she was giving John the option to decide, hey, we need to go. We have 3 exit routes that you can take, but you need to leave now if you want to save your team. And John was like, we can't leave the artifact. And she's like, well, you can't grab it because if you grab it, you're going to activate it.
You're going to activate it. Yeah, no, that part made sense. I just didn't understand why they didn't call it. Because the ship could have been a better tool to use in that fight to keep them alive.
It wasn't her decision. It was John's decision. John
when they were Andrea, when they were fighting,
yes.
When they were fighting Vanek and Riz, she manually took control of the Warthog.
The Warthog, yes, she did.
She could not. So you're telling me she couldn't have taken control of the Pelican, brought it down, helped shoot
all the other aliens to protect them because they were getting mollywopped. I'm not saying she couldn't. But she should have. Yes. I realized that because I thought that was so like out of the blue. I understand it was their getaway, but the fact that that ship had weapons that could have been beneficial to their survival, it should have been utilized in that scene better. So, because I think because at first I was like, why are you diving out of the ship? Like, why are we diving? Like, why not just land it? That was cool. Why you gotta take it was cool, but I was like, why are we doing this? But then I understood it's because they wanted to stay under the radar. So probably it was like they don't want the ship to get, they didn't want the ship to get too close. And then when they're in the middle of all of the fighting and all of that stuff, there's a lot of stuff going on. Yes. Did it make sense not to bring the ship down at that exact moment? Maybe not, because they may not want to risk the way of escaping by bringing it closer than having the Covenant fire at it and shoot it down or whatever until they actually needed it to escape. Because if they tried to bring it down to help shoot and the Covenant shoots it out of the sky, they're stuck on an alien planet that no one else can get to. So it's like one of those things where this is your last ditch effort. You can't lose your way home.
Yeah.
And then finally was like, all right, we need to escape. Because Cortana was pushing John to, we need to escape. You need to leave now. No, that's true. She was doing the right thing. Yeah. And then when she could, the ship came. Because before that, John was like, no.
The takeover was kind of funny to me too. When she finally kneels down and puts a little hand on his chest and then disappears, and you know that that's her taking over, and he doesn't speak anymore after that. But we know John's not dead because she says, I can't guarantee that I can bring you back, but she's going to be able to bring him back in season 2.
I hope so.
But yeah, and now he becomes Master Chief. Like I guess is what Andrea was saying. He becomes Master Chief because now he's not taking off the helmet. He's not even saying nothing to nobody.
That's what we wanted.
Yeah, you
That's
see
Halo
Kai
fans
look over
wanted.
and she's like, "John, is that you?" And he's just like, over at her. You don't say nothing. Like, you don't say nothing. I won't say nothing. We just gonna keep this ride going. I was like, and they look over at the artifact sitting there, and then at the very end, and we see prim and proper Halsey just out willy nilly in the open in her little. She done put some snazzy design on her lab coat, and like ain't nobody looking for you. She's got her little legs crossed, sitting on a park bench somewhere,
chilling.
and someone else. But like I said, she's
The
always
guy
got
was like what's his name? Aiden. What was his name?
Aiden dead.
I for a second I thought that was him. So she got what you say? Oh, she got another Aiden. She just replaced him with another Aiden.
No, I thought that was him too.
Yeah, I thought it was. I'm like, oh,
it's an older dude. It wasn't Aiden. Aiden got his neck broken. I guess he didn't.
Whew,
he didn't finagle into
he
the clone
dead.
chamber like Halsey did. Send him off a little clone decoy to get killed.
Yeah, and that goes to show that she had no intention of him surviving.
No,
because I guess that clone's order was to not leave until. Because I'm gonna be honest, she could have gotten away so much easier and probably still did everything that she did. But when everything was sort of turning on her, I firmly believe it was not that clone's job to leave. It was that clone's job to stay, get caught, and like die in their custody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious of exactly when the clones got switched up, because that might have been a clone that was in the ship with Aiden. And if she'd have dipped off even before then, like she knew the jig was up and switched off screen. And so that entire time when she jumps out the escape pod, that may be the clone right there, which was also maybe why she wasn't so keen on leaving when Aiden's telling like, we gotta break wide, we gotta go. And she's like, nope, not until I know such and such. And he's like, why are you being so dumb? We got to go.
Left her. At that point, I would have left her. I'm like, you know what? I care about my life and breathing. But you know what obsession gets you? It gets you death. That's what being obsessed with people gets you. Death.
Yeah. And if that's the clone, then she's like, well, I'm finna die anyway. So sorry for you. Those are the breaks, and you in the wrong ship right now.
Can we say that only Kai notices? Maybe Vanek. I mean, no. Riz has a very good excuse for not realizing. Vanek is distracted by Riz, but like Kai's the only one who really notices of those four that John isn't really truly John. Because when she sees him pick up the artifact, like you see her stop and stare, like
stoic.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you can't pick that up and be conscious.
Yeah,
because it doesn't work that way.
Oh, yeah, she's the one that knew.
She's the only one who knows, and everyone else doesn't realize it yet.
Yeah.
And so this is now your Master Chief, the one that will not take off his helmet.
And how callous he is. When my boy took off the thing at the bottom of the ship to cauterize the wound on Riz, like just like blowtorches it. Yeah, don't worry about that. Just rub some dirt on it. You'll be all right. I'm gonna light this up so you're not bleeding at least. He don't say nothing to nobody. He don't give no type of comfort. Vanek is holding her hand. You can see the concern on Kai's face.
Yeah.
And he's like, yep. Like he's, fixing a car or something. He's not even tripping. He just gets up and goes right to the pilot's seat. So yeah, she is the only one that really notices. But yeah, I think Vanek is distracted. He's afraid he's going to lose. And that's like the most emotion we see from Vanek the whole
Talk about character arc. Talking about character development. This black man's character development start off ice cold. Then we got emotions at the end.
Would you really have killed me? Yes, I would have.
So I think this was enjoyable, but it had a lot of drawbacks that kind of weighed the show down from being like a top tier show. So it's like kind of a mixed bag for me.
I think if they marketed it as a origin and not as like people expecting it to be sort of like just like a you jump in and you're in the middle of a Halo game, like that type of. But if they had marketed it as like this is the origin of like Master Chief, like how did he become who he became, I think it could have been received better. Because because my intention going in wasn't as this was an origin. None of this made sense really until that last scene of Cortana taking over and just seeing his entire like body change, like the way he carried himself, how he did things. It's like, oh, okay, now I get what Rod was saying. That's Master Chief. The guy before wasn't Master Chief. Like he was Master Chief in title, but he wasn't the character until this guy now. So I feel like if it was marketed as this is the origin of like the character you know and love versus, hey, here's the character you know and love who acts nothing like the character that you know and love.
Yeah.
Because for me, it doesn't matter because I don't know him that well. But it made sense at the very end. I'm like, that's who you were looking for. The guy who didn't take off. Okay, that makes sense now. That makes sense. It all folds together. But you shouldn't have to wait till the last episode to understand the point of the whole season.
Yeah. Or if you were going to add a whole bunch of new stuff that's not in it, at least have all that new stuff to be excellently written.
Yeah.
And then I can argue with it either way. You know, it's not what I was used to, but if it's well written, you got to take it. It was just a bunch of trash mixed in there with the jewels.
You like that implant with the plasma sword? Hated it.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Quan.
Useless. Quan. Dumb.
Yeah.
Wait,
like,
so what are y'all ratings? What are y'all out of 10? Where are you putting?
I got to give it a hot 5.
Ooh, a hot 5.
Yeah.
Hot 5. Andrea?
Understanding it probably would have been higher if episode 9 didn't happen. But because I get what they were trying to do and they didn't do it well, and it wasn't explained until literally like the last scene, I have to agree with Rod. It gets a 5 because it wasn't. I thought, like I've been saying this on all these episodes, I thought they were just going a new direction with Master Chief, trying to humanize him, and it seems like this was really just his origin story. And the fact that it comes out that this was supposed to be his origin of like the Master Chief that's always portrayed later, I was like, you didn't do a good job of laying that foundation to understand that's what you were trying to get us to. And that, so I have to give it a 5 because you just dropped the ball on explaining who the character was. Now, if he still ended the season as the John that we know throughout the entire season, I would be like, oh, this is probably been closer to like an 8 because there are 7 or 8 because like there were still a lot of drawbacks. But because it's supposed to be like his origin, I have to say a 5 because I don't know. I feel like they just decided that people weren't liking it in episode 1 and then changed their mind how they were going to do episode 9.
What about you, Jordan?
I'm going to be different here. I'm always got to do it. I'm going to say, honestly, I agree with your 5s. I wanted to say 6. I'm going to say 6. Okay. Because I personally enjoyed the last episode. I thought it brought everything together a little better with the fact that John, the soul of John, this idea of this human John is dead. And Cortana has taken over. Now, it probably technically, I don't think that would even be. That's not consistent with the games, of course, because Master Chief is his own person, Cortana is a separate person. But I like that idea of like you're killing the human being, like you've killed the human being and turned it into this kind of legend. Like he's like as Cortana controlling his body, he is now a legend, like a literal. He's not a human being. He is just this kind of walking soldier. And I like that idea, but getting to that point was a lot of unnecessary, dumb, tedious stuff that didn't need to be there. Like this could have been a 5-episode or 4-episode, 6-episode series, and probably actually would have been better if it was shorter because we could have cut out the Quan stuff and the Maki relationship stuff, and we might have actually made this a better experience. But I enjoyed. I guess I'm the type of person, I do enjoy like the lulls because it helps us get excited when cool stuff happens.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. But it wasn't great writing. To be honest, it was not great writing. The action was cool at times. But do I want a second season? No, we could end it here. To be honest with you, it don't need to be brought back. It wasn't groundbreaking, as Andrea mentioned earlier. It was not like I need more of this.
Yeah.
So
Man.
yeah, that happened. Halo Origins. They probably should have called this Halo Origins.
Origins, hilarious.
If they had said
Halo Origins.
That
would have been fire.
Made much more sense to everyone watching. Like, okay, he's not our Master Chief yet. He's a Master Chief.
That would have made the title alone would have made the show better. But no.
Yeah.
It needed a lot of work. But
like the fact that we have to realize on our own that this is an origin story took away from the fact that it was like, all right, I spent 8 episodes defending you making a whole new character when really you weren't making a whole new character. This was just who he was before. Like, because I feel like if Cortana is able to bring him back, who's to say he comes back as the John we met this season? He could come back as John before he touched the artifact, because the John who we only met the John really who after he touched the artifact. Before that, he was still stoic army Spartan guy. So it could be like the guy we're meeting never touched the artifact.
Show right there. That should have been the name of the show right there. Stoic Spartan army guy. It's a new.
Or if he wasn't Master Chief yet.
Yeah.
If he didn't have the title of Master Chief and he was still just and he became Master Chief at the end.
What was he considered before that? Does anybody know? What was he before Master Chief? Was just a Spartan?
It was whatever the rank before Master Chief in the Navy. That's what, because Master Chief's in the naval, one of the higher enlisted ranks in the Navy. So you just go down the line.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So yeah, if they had named it Halo Origins and his title wasn't Master Chief until like near the end,
and then he gets promoted to Master Chief.
Yeah, then it would have made a lot.
Or his heroic acts.
That would have been perfect, and I think we could have forgiven a lot of the other stuff a little bit more. But yeah,
man, thank you guys once again for discussing these things. A couple of y'all that caught us in the live stream, we appreciate you taking the time out of your days to listen to us discuss these things. Don't forget to check out Trek and Beyond,
a Star Trek podcast,
with Andrea Rose Washington and Monica Pinkett, where they go through Star Trek Discovery. We will be downloading the audio from this live stream to the Askari cast on Anchor, which gets distributed to Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and like 5 other places where podcasts are broadcast. And if you can check us out, you can hit that support button on Anchor. We greatly appreciate it. Keep things on top, and we will talk to you all next week.
Peace.